Hey, what is up everyone? It's been 3 weeks since the release of Centuria and I figured I'd give you 35 tips that I wish I knew when I started playing the game. Since I'm free to play, these tips will also be for free to play players. Now this game is definitely pay to win, but you can still be one of the best. I managed to reach top 700 at some point. Obviously you won't be able to beat the whales, but these tips will make sure you have a chance against the dolphins. Alright, so let's get started. Tip number 1, only do the 10 summons. 10 summons cost 2,700 crystals, but one time summon costs 300 crystals. Now just because you don't have 10 books doesn't mean that you can't do the 10 times summon. You can actually combine your books with crystals to be able to do the 10 times summon, as you can see here. Tip number 2, join an alliance as soon as you can. It can be any alliance as long as they have a lot of active members. You want to be able to request and get cards for what you're requesting, and also be able to support to get those alliance coins. Tip number 3, be smart about your requests. Request monsters that you think you can use in a lot of your formations, but also don't request any monsters that is popular in your guild. If a bunch of people are requesting Bernards, don't request Bernard as well. Chances are they won't be able to support you with that. Also, request DPS monsters over tanky or support monsters. More damage gets you more wins. It will also make clearing PvE easier. Alright, tip number 4, the order of the alliance shop purchases. So always first buy this one first, the normal skillstone ticket for 1,000, and then once you're done with that, either buy the enchantment scroll or the mystical dusk, but just make sure that you have at least 1,000 every week to be able to purchase this. Tip number 5, this is a waiting game. Do your daily quests, every single one of them except for the alliance shop one. Even this one, the power up a rune, you don't need to power it up an entire level, you just need to power it up of just one stone, and that's enough to complete the quest. Tip number 6, and this is not just about the daily quests, it's about anything with a timer. So we're talking missions, the barrier battles, the glory tokens, the events. Make sure that you complete all of them in the time that they're due. Tip number 7, make sure you claim every crystal that you can get. So with the monsters, you can go here. You get achievements for leveling up your monsters or for possessing skill stones. So make sure you claim your skill stones for each monster. The quests, make sure you get your crystals here, and also there are challenges that you can complete for quests for crystals. Also in the shop, you get a free daily package every day that gives you 50 crystals and 300 mana. Tip number 8, some events don't show up here, but they actually show up in this page, so make sure that you check this as well. For example, right now this event right here only shows up in this tab, and this gives you 3 books if you manage to complete it. Tip number 9, start crafting as soon as you can. You don't even need to be level 5 to be able to craft mid runes, even just low runes is fine. The goal here is to get enough runes to be able to complete rune sets on your monsters. Now I recommend early game, don't even bother with the guard blade will runes. Just focus on crafting as many of these as possible, and then put energy runes for supports for your tanks, fatal runes for your damage dealers, and then swift runes if you want to lower their mana cost. Tip number 11, don't power up or enchant rare or normal runes. They are not worth it. It's better to wait until you have hero runes or legendary runes before you use your resources. Tip number 12, not all hero or legendary runes are worth upgrading. For example, this one, it has pretty bad substats, so it's not worth enchanting, whereas this one, it had pretty good substats, so I went ahead and enchanted it, and I have some nice substats that will get me through the early game. This leads on to tip number 13. Early game, it is easier to enchant runes than to power them up, so it's better to find runes with good substats than to find runes with a good main stat. Tip number 14, don't cheer. Now this is just for your sanity. I just don't think it's worth what you're spending, especially the time is spent. I cheered for the first 1 or 2 weeks, and it just felt like a waste of crystals and mana stones, and also it got me really mad when people that I was cheering for were making really stupid mistakes. And honestly, my life has been so much easier without cheering for anyone. Tip number 15, try to clear the siege battle as soon as possible. You don't even need to be able to 3-star them, just complete the boss stage so you can unlock the wanted. Tip number 16, clear the wanted criminals every time they are up. You can even clear them with only 2 stars, because at 2 stars they give mana stones, which for free-to-play players is very rare. So just make sure that you at least 2-star them before you clear them. Tip number 17, only buy the cheapest card to complete the quest. You can buy more if the cards are in your main formation, but it comes back to, before mana stones are rare, don't buy every single thing in the magic shop. Tip number 18, sometimes a hero card shows up in the magic shop for 250 crystals. Don't buy it, it's not worth it. Tip number 19, barrier battles can only be done once every 3 days, so make sure that when you go in, you're going in fully prepared. It's best if you look online for some successful formations or some tips on how to do your best in the barrier battles. Tip number 20, don't touch arena unless you have at least over 2,500 trophies. Matchmaking sucks and you will not get far enough for your crystals to be worth it. Tip number 21, level up your main monsters first, but until you reach level 5, level up everything that you can. You want to level up your profile as fast as possible, as it improves your rewards and unlocks new things as you level up. Tip number 22, the cart of mana stones is actually not a bad deal for early game, since as free-to-play players we run out of mana stones pretty fast. Get it if it means you can level up your monsters and then level up your profile because of that. Tip number 23, understand the counter mechanic. It's the most important mechanic in the game and will decide the game. Tip number 24, learn how to make a formation. Give yourself a good balance of supports and damage dealers. The general consensus is damage dealers in the back and supports and tanks in the front. This leads on to tip number 25. A team full of legendaries is not the best formation. Tip number 26. Keep your average mana cost low. If it is high, I'm thinking over 3.5, consider a mana regen buffer like Megan or Bernard. Tip number 27. Know each monster's type when you enter battle. You want to be able to look at a monster and say whether they're support, tank, or damage dealer. Alright, speed quiz. What type of monster is Sophia? 3, 2, 1. She's an attack type monster. Tip number 28. Know each monster's skill when you enter battle. Speed quiz. What is Wusa's skill? 3, 2, 1. He gives a shield and immunity to every single monster in your formation. Tip number 29. Know which of their monsters you can counter with your own monster. Alright, let's say that they have a Beretta in their backline. Tell me which monster here can counter that. 3, 2, 1. It's Wusa. If you counter with Wusa, he gives immunity to your whole team, which means that none of Beretta's dots will be able to hit your team. Tip number 30. Learn the meta. Either abuse it or counter it. If the meta is a bunch of dot damage, bring a bunch of cleanse, a bunch of immunity, or you could bring dot damage yourself and try to clear them faster. Tip number 31. Don't use a monster if they're underleveled. Levels are so important in this game, and you can always find replacements for monsters. Tip number 32. This game is pay to win. If you go against a player that has a lot higher level monsters than you, you're not going to win. Just take the loss and smile. Just say, you are the reason why I am playing right now, so thank you. You can take this win and take my trophies. Tip number 33, know your place. Don't expect to be the very best in this pay-to-win game without actually paying. I managed to reach top 700 as a free-to-play, and I'm happy about that. Tip number 34, just because you have lower level monsters, don't give up. With the correct strategy, you can win against players with up to 2 levels over your monsters. My monsters are currently all level 8 or 9, and I'm currently facing a bunch of players with level 10, level 11, maybe even level 12 monsters, but I'm not giving up, and I'm still winning against quite a few of them. Finally, tip number 35, don't be discouraged fighting against high-ranking players in challenge mode. They are in their weakest form as monsters levels are defaulted to level 10. Do your best and prove your skill against them. Alright, before I leave you, here's one more bonus tip. This is tips for free to play, but if you want to get the best bang for your buck, these are the two most efficient purchases in the game. This one gives you 3,300 crystals for $3, so you're basically getting 4 summons per dollar, and this one gives you 30 books plus 2,000 crystals, so a little less than 2 summons per dollar. Alright, that is it for me. Now I did go through the tips really fast because I don't want to keep you guys going for too long, but if you have any questions or if you want more details about the tips, feel free to post them in the comments below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more Lost Centuria content. I'll see you guys next time.